Welcome you all students for the smart class program. Let us now start with lesson number 9. Fiscal economics. Yes students, what is fiscal economics? Any idea? Yes, listen. The old name for fiscal economics was public finance. It is a study of finance related to government entities. It revolves around the role of government income and expenditure in the economy. What do you mean finance? Dealing with money. So this lesson we will be learning about public finance in detail in the oncoming chapters. Tirukkural is given based on this lesson. Incomings may be scant, but yet no failures there. If an expenditure you rightly learn to spare. This is the Tirukkural given in English. The exact Tirukkural let us see in Tamil. ஆகாறு அளவிட்டி தாயினும் கேடில்லை போகாறு அகலா கடை. We'll see what is the meaning for this. See the English meaning. Even though the income be small, it will not cause his ruin if his outgoings be not larger than his income. See the Tamil meaning. வருமானம் அளவில் சிறிது என்றாலும் செலவினம் பெரிதாகாத போது கேடு இல்லை. Is what is the meaning for this Tirukkural? Can you tell it in a short term? Yes, even if your income is very less, it will not cause any danger for you unless your expenditure is more. One more saying in Tamil, varavu ettana selavu pattana. If you do that, you will be put into the problem of debt. Learning objectives of this lesson. So what we'll be seeing in this lesson? You will be understanding the meaning and subject matter of public finance, to understand the direct and indirect taxes, to describe the functions of finance commission. Introduction. Let us see what this lesson is about. The term fiscal economics is a new one. The old and popular term is public finance. It is related to the financing of the state activities, that is country's activities, and the financial operation of the government treasury. It is derived from the Greek word which means basket. The modern state is a welfare state. We all know that our government is aiming for a welfare state. The state activities have increased extensively and intensively day by day due to the increase in the population. So to perform all these activities, the country needs funds. So this chapter is dealing with public revenue, public expenditure, public debt, budget, federal finance and local finance. What's the meaning of public finance? Let us see. Public finance is a study of the financial aspects of the government. Financial aspect, the money matters. It is concerned with the revenue and expenditure. Revenue, that is income, of the public authorities and with adjustment of the one to the other. I hope you understood what is the meaning of public finance. It is nothing but a study of the financial aspects of the government. All the items dealing with the money is put under the heading public finance. Definition of public finance given by two great economists. Hugh Dalton and Adam Smith. Let us see the Hugh Dalton's definition. Public finance is one of those subjects that lie on the borderline between economics and politics. It is concerned with income and expenditure of public authorities and with the adjustments of one to the other. This was a definition given by Hugh Dalton. Yes, he is saying that it is concerned with the income and expenditure of the public authorities and with the adjustment of one term with the other term. And the next economist, Adam Smith, he says that public finance is an investigation into the nature and principles of the state revenue and expenditure. So he also trying to say that public finance is nothing but the relationship between the state revenue and the expenditure. Scope of public finance. This public finance is subdivided into 5 major divisions. First one, public revenue. Second, public expenditure. Third, public debt. Fourth, financial administration. And 5, fiscal policy. Each and every subheading will be studied very clearly one by one. See the tabular column given. The scope of public finance is given one by one and the description is given on the other side. The first scope is the public revenue. What it deals with? It deals with the method of raising public revenue such as tax and non-tax, the principles of taxation, rates of taxation, impact, incidence and shifting of taxes and their effects. So public revenue is the public income. So in this topic we will be learning what are the ways the income will be entered into the country. The main source is the tax. So we will be seeing about the different types of taxes, the principle, the impact, incidence, the shifting and all their effects. Second one, public expenditure. It studies the fundamental principle that govern the government expenditure, effects of public expenditure and control of public expenditure. What is expenditure? Spending. Okay. So all the public expenditure, what are all the government is spending for the people's welfare and what are the sources, how it is being spent, everything will be seeing in this topic. Next is public debt. It deals with the method of raising loans from internal and external sources. The burden, effects and redemption fall under this head. What's the meaning of debt? Yes, borrowing the amount from the other sources in order to develop the economy. So next one is financial administration. It deals with the study of different aspects of public budget, the various objectives and steps in preparing a public budget fall under this head. I hope you know what I mean by a budget. What's a budget? The statement of income and expenditure of a country for one financial year. And last one is the fiscal policy. Its instruments are tax subsidies, public debt and public expenditure. We'll be seeing one by one in detail. There are two types of finance, public finance and private finance. Let us see the definition of public finance and private finance. What is public finance? It deals with study of income, expenditure, borrowing and financial administration of the government. But private finance, it deals with the study of income, expenditure, borrowing and financial administration of the individual or private enterprises. See, both the public and private finance are similar. It looks similar in nature but different from each other on various aspects. Many aspects, there are lots of difference between the public finance and the private finance. Let us now see the similarities between public finance and private finance. In what way both are similar? See the features and the description. First feature is rationality. Both finance are based on rationality. That is on ration basis. The finance will be getting it only on the ration basis, that is limited basis. Both aim for maximization of welfare. Second, limit to borrowing. Both have their own limit with regard to borrow. They can borrow only to a certain limit, not more than the limit. There is a limit for the state side also to deficit financing, that the government side also will be having a limit. Next, resource utilization, that is using of resources. Both the sectors have limited resources at their disposal, so both attempt to make optimum use of the resources. Resources are scarce in their hand, so both tries to attempt to make maximum use of the resources. Next, administration. The efficiency of both the sectors depends on the good administrative machinery. If the administrative machinery is inefficient and corrupt, it will result in wastages. See the next topic, dissimilarities between public and private finance. See the chart given. In this chart they have given the differences between the public and private finance. The various features and the descriptions are given. See the features. Income and expenditure adjustment, borrowing, right to print currency, present versus future decision, objective, coercion to get revenue, ability to make huge and deliberate changes. Let us see one by one the features and the differences. The first feature, income and expenditure adjustment. The government adjusts income to the expenditure while individuals adjust expenditure to the income. Did you understand this concept, student? Listen. Private finance involves stitching coat according to the cloth available, whereas government decides the cloth according to the need for the coat. I hope now you have understood the concept. Second one, borrowing. The government can borrow from the people by issuing bonds, but in private sector, individual cannot borrow from himself. Third, right to print currency. We know very well that only the government can print currency, the private sector cannot create any currency. Next, present versus future decision. Public finance makes, that is government makes, long term decision, and it will build schools, hospital and all other infrastructure facilities, whereas private finance makes only short term financial decision. It will not go for a long term decision. Next is the objective. Public finance, government provides social benefit in the economy, tries to give a social benefit in the economy, whereas the private, the only one aim, that is to maximize their profit. They doesn't care for the welfare of the people. Next, coercion to get revenue. The source of income of a government is wide. Yes, government gets income from various sources. The government can use its power and authority. Those power and authority we cannot expect from the private sector. The source of income of a private individual is very, very less. Next, ability to make huge and deliberate changes. Public finance has the ability, government has the ability to make big decision on income, but individuals cannot make such massive decision. The decision making is limited in the case of individual but vast in the case of the government. Functions of a government. See what are all the different functions of the government. It is given in the diagrammatic representation. Infrastructure, macroeconomic policy, social justice, control of monopoly, defense, judiciary, enterprises, and social welfare. Let us see one by one. Let us go to the next topic, functions of modern state. The modern state, the state where we are living, is a welfare state and it's not a police state. Let us see the various functions of the modern state. The first function is defense. This is the primary function of the government to protect the people from external aggression and internal disorder, both from external as well as the internal disorders. So the government has to maintain a good adequate police and military force and render protective services. This is the first and foremost function of the government. Second function is judiciary, rendering justice and settlement of disputes, it is a fight, or the concern of the government. It should provide adequate judicial structure to render justice to all classes of citizens. It is all three layers, upper level, middle level and the lower level people. Equal justice should be rendered by the government. Third one, enterprises. The regulation and control of private enterprises fall under the limit of the modern state. Ownership of certain enterprises and operating them successfully are the responsibility of any government. So next one, social welfare. It is the duty of the government to make provisions for education, social security, social insurance, health and sanitation for the betterment of the people in the country. Next function is infrastructure. Modern states have to build the base for the economic development of the country by creating social and economic infrastructure. Various infrastructure should be maintained by the government for the welfare of the people. Next is macroeconomic policy. The government has to administer fiscal policy and monetary policy to achieve macroeconomic goals. Next is the social justice. During the process of growth of an economy, certain sections of the society gain, that is enjoy at the cost of others. So at this situation, the government needs to intervene with fiscal measures to redistribute the income equally. And the last one, control of monopoly. Concentration of economic power is another evil to be corrected by the government. Concentration of economic power is another evil to be corrected by the government. So the state intervenes through control of monopolies and restrict the trade practices to curb concentration of the economic power. The state can play three kinds of roles, that is, as a producer of goods and services, as a supplier of public goods and social goods, and third, as a regulator of the system. So these are all the functions of the modern state. See the next scope of public finance, public expenditure. See the meaning. What is public expenditure? It refers to government spending incurred by central, state and local governments of a country. The amount that has been spent by the government, that is by central, state and local to the country, is called as a public expenditure. Definition of public expenditure. Yes, how can we define the public expenditure? In simple words, it can be defined as the expenditure incurred by public authorities like central, state and local governments to satisfy the collective social wants of the people is known as public expenditure. That is, the amount spent by the government, maybe a central government or state government or local government, mainly to satisfy all the social wants of the people, is known as a public expenditure. Classification of public expenditure. So this public expenditure is classified on the basis of benefit and on the basis of function. Let us see one by one. The first one, on the basis of benefit, how it has been classified. So the two great economists, Kohn and Plin, classified the public expenditure on the basis of benefits into four. Let us see the first. So public expenditure benefiting the entire society. Example, we can say defense, education, health and transport. Second, public expenditure conferring a special benefit on certain people and at the same time common benefit for entire common unit. That is, it will be benefiting a certain people and at the same time it is a common benefit for entire common unit. Example, administration of justice. And third, public expenditure directly benefiting particular group of person and indirectly the entire society. That is, it will be benefiting a particular group directly and the entire society indirectly. Example, pension, unemployment relief, etc. And last one, public expenditure conferring a special benefit on some individuals only. Example, subsidy granted to a particular industry. Next, on the basis of function. So Adam Smith classified this expenditure types into three. First one, protection function. So expenditure incurred on the security of the citizens to protect from external invasion and internal disorder. Second, commercial function. So public expenditure incurred on the development of trade and commerce. Example, development of means of transport and communication. And third one, development function. This group includes public expenditure incurred for the development of infrastructure as well as industries. So we have seen the classification of public expenditure on the basis of benefit and on the basis of function. See the next topic, causes for the increase in government expenditure. Why day by day and year by year this expenditure has been increasing? Let us see the causes one by one. First important cause is population growth. The population of India has increased from 36.1 crore in 1951 to 121 crore in 2011. See the growth rate of population. It has increased from 36 crores to 121 crores within a gap period of 60 years. The growth in population requires huge investment in health and education and law and order, etc. Young population requires expenditure on education and youth services. Aging population requires expenditure on old age pension, health facilities and social security. So this is a very important cause for the increase in the government expenditure. Next, defense growth. The defense expenditure increased tremendously due to modernization of defense equipment. See the amount that have been spent in 1990 to 91. The government of India has spent only 10,874 crores for the sake of defense. But see, in the year 2018 to 19, the total amount spent by our government is 2,95,511 crores. See the tremendous increase in the expenditure spent for the defense. Next cause, government subsidies. So our Indian government is providing more subsidies to a number of items such as food, fertilizers, exports, education, etc. So the public expenditure has increased to a great extent. So in the year 1991, the total amount spent for the subsidy is rupees 9,581 crores. But see, in the year 2018-19, the total amount spent is 2,29,715 crores. And for the corporate sector alone receives more than 5 lakh crores of subsidies every year from the government. And the next cause, debt servicing. I hope you know what's the meaning of debt. Yes, borrowing. Government is borrowing heavily from both internal and external sources for the development of the economy. So every year we are paying the huge amount of repayment towards debt, both the principal as well as the interest. See the tabular column, the total amount of interest alone paid by the government every year. From 1990-91 it was only 21,500 crores, but in 1819 see the amount, it is 5,75,794 crores only they are paying the as a interest. Next cause, development projects. So government is undertaking various development projects such as irrigation, setting up of iron and steel industry, heavy machinery, power, telecommunication, etc. So in order to build these projects, it requires huge investment. Next cause is urbanization. What is urbanization? Converting the villages into cities and towns. So this process is increasing day by day due to the increase in population. So it increased from 17% to 43%. At present today in India, 54 cities are more than 1 million population. So increase in urbanization requires heavy expenditure. Next cause, industrialization. Setting up of industries, that is a meaning for industrialization, it requires huge investment and a long gestation period. That means it takes a long time to complete the project. Almost all the underdeveloped countries need a strong infrastructure like transport, communication, power, fuel, etc. So in order to set up all these, the government spend huge amount as expenditure. Next, increase in grants in aid to state and union territories. Grants are given to the state and union territories during the time of natural disasters. Can you name some natural disasters? Yes, earthquake, volcanoes, tsunamis, and recent we can say is a COVID-19. The next scope of public finances, public revenue. See the meaning. What is public revenue? What does it mean? The income of the government through all sources is called public income or public revenue. Some of the sources through which the government gets income are taxes, fees, fines, donations, etc. It has been classified into two types, tax revenue and the non-tax revenue. Let us see one by one. See the first source, tax revenue. What is tax revenue? What do you mean by a tax? Tax is a compulsory payment by the citizens to the government to meet the public expenditure. It is legally imposed by the government on the taxpayee, and in no case taxpayer can refuse to pay taxes to the government. So tax is nothing but a compulsory payment that every citizen should pay to the government to meet its own public expenditure. It is legally imposed by the government on the taxpayer, and all the citizens compulsorily should pay the taxes. No person is exempted from paying the tax. See the definition of tax revenue given by the famous economist Anatole Murad and Dalton. See the first one. A tax is a compulsory payment made by a person or a firm to a government without reference to any benefit the payer may derive from the government. See the Daltons. A tax is a compulsory contribution imposed by public authority irrespective of the exact amount of service rendered to the taxpayer in return and not imposed as a penalty for any legal offense. Next, characteristics of tax. What is tax? It is a compulsory payment made by the citizens to the government. People on which a tax is imposed must pay the tax. Refusing to pay is a punishable offense. There is no quid pro quo between a taxpayer and public authorities. What's the meaning of quid pro quo? It means that taxpayer cannot claim any special benefit against the payment of a tax. Then every tax involves some sacrifice on part of the taxpayer. It is not levied as a fine or penalty for breaking a law. The sources of tax revenue are income tax, corporate tax, sales tax, surcharge and cess. What is surcharge? It is the extra amount that you have to pay for something. What do you mean by cess? It is a tax levied on tax. Government collects this cess for special purpose only. Next, non-tax revenue. The revenue obtained by the government from sources other than tax, it is called as a non-tax revenue. Let us see some of the non-tax revenue. First one is the fees. What do you mean by this fees? It is charged by public authorities, that is by the government, for rendering a service to the citizens. There is no compulsion to pay the fees like the tax. The government provides certain service and charges certain fees for them. Example, we can say fees are charged for issuing of passports, driving licenses, etc. Second one, fine. It is a penalty. It is a punishing event. It is a penalty imposed on an individual for violating the law. That is, if you go against the law. Example, violation of traffic rules. One more example, you can say payment of taxes after the stipulated time, after the allotted time or after the given time. Third one, earnings from public enterprises. Some of the public sector enterprises, public sector companies make a good amount of profit. So these profits gained by the government can be utilized for public expenditure. Next source is special assessment of betterment levy. It is a special charge levied on certain members of the community who are benefited by the government projects. Example, due to the public park or due to the construction of road, people in that locality experience that benefits. Next, gifts, grants and aids. Grant from one government to another is an important source of revenue in modern days. The government at the center provides grants to state government, and the state government provides grants to the local government to carry out their functions. Developing countries receives aids like military aid, food aid and technological aid from other countries. And last one, escheats. It refers to the claim of the state to property of persons who die without legal heirs or documented will. If any person who dies without any legal heirs, or if he doesn't have any proper documented will, then his property will automatically be taken by the government. Next topic is canons of taxation. What do you mean by canons of taxation? The characteristics or qualities which a good tax should possess are described as canons of taxation. Adam Smith has given 5 types of canons of taxation. See in the chart what has been given: economical, equitable, convenient, certain, efficient and flexible. Let us see what it is in the next topic. Yes, canons of taxation. Yes, what I told, the characteristics or qualities which a good tax should possess are described as canons of taxation. According to Adam Smith, there are 4 canons of taxation. See the chart. You can see the canons and its description. Let us see one by one. See the first one, canon of ability. So the government should impose the tax in such a way that the people have to pay taxes according to their ability, that is how much they are able to pay. Rich person should pay more tax when compared to the middle class and poor people. So tax should be fixed based on their ability to pay. Next, certainty. The government should ensure that there is no uncertainty regarding the rate of tax or the time of payment. That is, when the taxpayers should pay the tax, what amount of tax should be paid, at what time they have to pay, should be instructed by the government beforehand itself. If the tax is collected arbitrarily, that is suddenly without any intimation, then it will affect the efficiency of the people. Third, convenience. The method and time of tax collection should suit the convenience of the people. Steps should be taken by the government for all the taxpayers to pay the tax without difficulty. Government should take steps so that the taxpayers without any burden come and pay their taxes. Last one, canon of economy. The government has to spend money for collecting taxes. For example, salaries are given to the persons who are responsible for collecting taxes. According to Smith, the great economist, he says, government should impose those taxes whose collection costs are very less and cheap. So these are the 4 different canons of taxation followed in India. The continuation of this lesson we can see in the part 2.